The thing is, as long as we can strategically adjust to deal with the mechanics better, it's fine. So I'll give you some let's look at some of the example mechanics that kind of suck. Like Arsene, I think Arsene Go, and Wing. Yes. Right. Aura is like the worst one. Aura you cannot really interact with because it's not really a mechanic. It's more like a passive.
It's just passive. Yeah,
exactly. So, but all three of these, they like you can adjust your strategy to deal with all three of these. So first of all, for all three, you can change the type of options that you go for. Right. So for example, because all three of these, right? All three of these are percentage bound, right? Like Arsene is after like about 60, Go 100 plus, Wing like 67, something like that. So what I recommend is that as these percentages come closer, you focus more on higher risk reward options. Now, how you go about that is going to differ per matchup, right? So first is Joker. You can generally be a good amount more high risk, high reward because his punishes aren't that devastating, right? Whereas versus Terry, while you cannot be more risky, you can, for example, focus more on pushing him off stage, right? So moves that sent diagonally, you can use less of those and focus more on your moves that send purely horizontally. Against a character like Sephiroth, you can just straight up, like when ledge trapping, let's say your normal ledge trap is to be just like a solid neutral air focused ledge trap. All right, fuck that. I'm going to go for a more risky Becker focused ledge trap so I can kill him earlier. Stuff like that already does a lot to dealing with these options. Now, if they are active, you can also change your strategy. So if you think about like Arsene, a huge limitation of Arsene is that Joker still struggles to how do I say this? Get a lot of reward off of grab. Well, of course, that is given that you DI down throw correctly. But generally, like after like 50%, he's not gonna get much out of the grab. What does that mean? That means that shielding still becomes a really strong tool. Another limitation is that his recovery becomes significantly worse. I don't know how good something like Lechslip Kashwoosh is against Arsene.
Oh no, it's super good. If you watch me versus Trim, I guess it's on East of London Smash, that channel. I do that. I even do it with funnies. Like every time you got a son, Lechslip Kashwoosh, he gets in the tornado, I just down, I can't move.
Right. So when I play,
I really prefer edge guarding that than the tether.
Yeah. So when I play against Joker and he has Arsene, I stop using up airs. Why? Because if I send him up, he's gonna do down guns and he's back. I only use moves that send him sideways. Why? Because, well, he has to B or air dodge, which are both punishable. Or double jump back to the stage, in which case if I do hit him off stage, he's basically going to die, right? So these are things like change your strategy to play around these. There's other things, right? So another thing is that Joker still doesn't have amazing pressure frame data. So, like, he can pressure with better hitboxes. He can pressure with more reward. But it's still, like, he doesn't have, like, a Sheik run up forward tilt, down tilt on your shield. He doesn't have a Fox jump in there. He has a nair, right? Sure. But, like, afterwards, what does he do? He can jab or grab, which are both, like, decent at continuing pressure. But if they go wrong, he's entirely fucked, right? So, there's a lot of things that you can do to play around Arsene. Go, the issue with Go, again, is that while it's kind of like Aura in that like it doesn't really introduce weaknesses, right? It just makes his confirms more rewarding. But at the same time, what that also means is that like his confirms are bound to jab and down tilt, right? So generally it becomes better to be in the air. Generally, it becomes better to be on platforms. Generally, it becomes better to stay in shield, right? So, like, these are all things that you can have, again, right? Like, these are all strategical adjustments that you can make, right? And even something like Wing, where, again, Wing doesn't have counter or downsides like Arsene does. It still changes your strategy entirely, right? So, when Seph is on the ledge, stop ledge trapping, right? When Seph is walling, don't dash shield. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to convey is that like either you get frustrated by a comic mechanic, or well, you can either get frustrated by a comic mechanic because you cannot control it. In which case, I say, well, I mean, it sucks that you cannot control it, but that just means that there's also no reason to get frustrated over it. Or you get frustrated because you don't know how to control it, and then you get better at controlling it.